Good morning. Today's discussion is going to be about Act 1, Scene 2 of Fences. So if you could get your packet open to page 21, that's where that's going to begin. Notice at the beginning of Scene 2, we have Rose singing a song, and the song is about fences, okay? Where we left off last time was discussing figurative fences that are present in Troy's life, okay? So the first fence we talked about was the one between he and his son Lyons. The fact that Troy doesn't support Lyons' career, the fact that, he hasn't been around for a lot of Lyons' life suggests that there is a separation between the two of them, that they're not very close. We also had another fence that we talked about between Rose and Troy. This is because Troy, we assume, is having an affair with Alberta, so there we have some sort of division growing, I guess, between he and his wife, or maybe it's already there and he's further growing it. Notice that the common issue here in those fences is that it's Troy making these decisions. He could support Lyons and, be okay with the fact that Lyons chose a career in music, but he's not. We also know that he could try to repair his relationship with his wife Rose, but of course he is not. In fact, he's driven to the arms of another woman. So anyway, those are some fences happening. We even talked about a possible fence coming up between Troy and his son Corey, because again, like with Lyons, he's not supportive of Corey's dream to play football at a college. So that one, is something we can kind of talk about at a later time. So going back to Scene 2 of Fences, we've got Rose again singing this song with a fence in it. We talked before about how fences keep things out or divide things. We can also, in this case, argue that fences can be positive, that they can keep things in and sort of protect people from outside elements. And here, Rose is asking, this is a religious song, she's asking Jesus to put a fence around her to protect her as she travels. She wants protection of her soul, probably of her actual self. So, anyway, there's a positive fence. Going on page 21 at the bottom, we've got Troy coming in, and notice that he's just kind of on a roll today. He's putting everybody else down, we can assume, to make himself feel better. Here are some things that he talks about. Firstly, he attacks African Americans for playing the lottery, and Rose, Lyons being two of those people that like to play. He seems to be jealous of the ones that do win the lottery, because he brings up a guy who did strike it rich, opens a restaurant, and then criticizes the restaurant. And notice that when he talks about this whole deal, he uses the N-word, and we can see here that he's using it in a derogatory sense, so it's kind of showing that he's intending to hurt people with what he's saying. Moving on, he also attacks Corey and criticizes the fact that his son is scared of doing any sort of work. And finally, Rose makes a comment to him and says, you've got something to say about everything. First it's the numbers, and it's about the way the man runs this restaurant. Then you done got on Corey. What's it going to be next? Again, something's not sitting very well with Troy, so he's got to tear everyone else down in the process. Notice, I think all of these things are because he's jealous some way, shape, or form, that someone's successful, that someone has money, that, Corey gets to go off and maybe, play out his dream, whereas Troy didn't get to do that. Okay, so I think it does all stem from some jealousy. We're also introduced to Troy's brother Gabriel in Scene 2. So just a little bit about him. Gabriel is actually 7 years younger than Troy. He was injured in World War II and actually had a metal plate put in his head from his injury. In this scene, it's clear that he is disabled because he believes that he's the archangel Gabriel, and he carries this old trumpet around everywhere, and he also sells or tries to sell discarded fruits and vegetables to people. So anyway, a little bit about Gabe. We also find out, that Gabe has moved out of Troy's house because he was clearly needing care, and so they all live together, but he ends up leaving Troy's house because he believes he was in Troy's way. And now he's sort of unsure that Troy is okay with him, kind of thinks that he's mad at him for doing this. We also see Rose and her caring nature here. She loves Gabriel and is concerned for his well-being. In fact, she voices some of those concerns to Troy in this scene, who disagrees that Gabe, needs additional help, because she says, I think he needs more care, but Troy doesn't think so. We also, from this conversation, learn a pretty big thing about Troy. We actually find out that the only reason that Troy has a roof over his head, the only reason why he has a house, is because he used Gabe's money from the war and his injury to buy the house. So, he's not as big as everyone, or that he likes everyone to think, So he borrows money from Gabriel, but then he looks down on Lyons for doing the same thing for him. Actually, Lyons only asked for $10. He got a whole bunch of money from Gabriel and borrowed it to buy this house. So anyway, probably why he's putting others down. He's struggling with a lot of issues within himself, and he sort of takes it out on everybody. Okay. We also notice in scene 2, going further, that Troy continues to put up a fence with his wife. Instead of answering her questions or working on the fence that she's asked him to build in the yard, he sort of runs off. And where is he going? Well, he claims that he's going over to Taylor's, but we know that when he heads over to Taylor's, we think he's going over to Alberta. So that's where he's headed off to. Also kind of interesting that he complains that his son doesn't like to do work and doesn't do any chores. But here he is shirking his responsibilities and chores to go and do something recreational. So again, we can kind of see that Troy's a hypocritical sort of character. Okay, so that concludes scene 2. I know it's a very short scene, but if you have any questions that you have, just send me an email and I'll be sure to get back to you and answer those. Okay, so until next time, I'll see you later.